Good morning, YouTube. Tired Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Appreciate the support that I got from last night's stream. That was incredible. Well, yesterday's stream, because we really started at about 1 o'clock. We went all the way until about 8 o'clock Eastern time. Fortunately, I had to cut it off at that point because I do have to work today. But it's a quick little morning video. We're going to take a look at the week ahead here, and we're also going to go over some of the damage that we've dealt with so far when it comes to Hilary. Hilary has done a lot in regards to flooding. Thankfully, the tornado threat has really not come to fruition here, but over towards Bakersfield and Los Angeles last night, there was a lot of heavy rainfall, unfortunately. And as a result, there's been a lot of flooding reports, and I'm expecting a lot more as we go throughout the day today. There's been multiple particularly dangerous situation, flash flood warnings, but thankfully, at the moment, no flash flood emergencies. This could partially be due to the fact that the storm motion is at about 23 plus miles an hour. So what we have going on with Hilary now is that it's a post-tropical cyclone. It's basically the non-tropical equivalent of a depression here, and it's going to remain that way as it continues to push off to the north here. Now, I said it a couple of times during the stream last night towards the end that what's going to end up happening next with this system is it's going to end up getting caught up in the northern ends of the heat dome, and that moisture is going to help fuel additional thunderstorms as we push more so towards Montana and then North Dakota, Minnesota, maybe South Dakota as well. But that being said here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what the rest of the week looks like, and we'll go on from that point. The chances of severe weather this week are pretty minimal right now, so not really going to talk too much about that, but heat's going to be a big problem. And you can kind of see this based off of the map that we're looking at here. This is the 200 millibar height map. This is looking about 41,000 feet into the air, maybe down towards even 39,000 feet. This is where all the action is going to be along where this jet streak is. But anywhere south of that in this little dome right here is going to be where we're going to experience some really incredible temperatures here. Temperatures are going to be ranging between 80, 90, and in the center of this, towards where this ridge is set up, over 100 degrees. Some places are getting even to the 110s and teens. So as we continue to go forward, this ridge is going to be pretty dominant throughout the course of the week here, especially as it continues to deepen in. You can see it. You can see these contour lines or isobars starting to really wrap around here. And by the time we get towards the end of the week here, we do start to see a little bit of a change on the way. This trough starts to deepen over here towards the northeast, so this does give a chance for relief over here, which is great news for me particularly, because in case you didn't know, I'm a landscaper, so I'm going to be out in the heat all week. So if you could say a prayer for me, definitely do. But as we get towards Saturday here, it looks like some parts of the East Coast here could start to see a cool down. Towards the west, the ridge is going to start to build back in, so the temperatures are expected to go back up here. We could be leaning more so into what's called a positive PNA setup, where it's warm to the west and cool to the east. Take a look at things from 500 millibars. It's a little bit lower into the atmosphere. This is more towards 30,000 feet in the air. It's pretty much a similar deal here. If you're the only real place that's going to be really nice as far as temperatures are concerned is far up towards the northeast, over towards New England. That's where the temperatures are probably going to be more so towards the 70s. We're going to take a look at that temperature map momentarily. But another reason that I'm watching this particular height is because we do have something potentially brewing here in the Atlantic here, especially towards the Gulf. There's a system that's hanging just off of Florida. And what my concern is the fact that the Gulf waters are at record temperatures too. Like the sea surface temperatures at the Gulf have been at times even up into the triple digits, which is pretty much unheard of. So my concern is that a tropical wave, should the wind shear lighten here, or the wind shear lighten up here, could end up hitting one of these areas amongst the Gulf here and really have a chance to strengthen, especially if it's a slow mover. This could result in maybe a major hurricane. Right now, I'm not seeing any indicators of that, thankfully, but this is peak hurricane season, so we're going to definitely have to be watching that. We will be watching that on the channel, so stay tuned for that, if anything else. So now that we've looked at that, let's go ahead and look at the temperatures here. I'm going to run this in a slow loop here, and here's where you can see the majority of that intense heat is going to be. It's going to be mainly towards the heart of the country, but as time goes on, this will be pushing off to the east here as we get later into the week, with triple digits even stretching into the Ohio Valley and southeast, and even trying to work its way into the mid-Atlantic. But as we get towards the end of this model run here, or what's available of it, because this is still loading as we speak right now, this goes up to about 150 hours. I can only really cover up until about Saturday. Won't have time to stick around for everything else, but like I said, triple digits, even into the triple teens, I should say. So 113 over here towards the Midwest here. Dangerous heat to be expected. We've been talking about this for a while on the channel. A lot of other YouTube weather channels have been talking about this as well. But one thing that I've noticed a lot of people aren't talking about as much is the humidity, especially what we're going to be experiencing over here towards the eastern half of the Mississippi. That's a big concern, not just only for me since I'm working outside, but just in general, just being in these areas where you're seeing the green here. That's indicative of 70% plus humidity. So that's going to make what's already feeling incredibly hot feel even more abysmal out there. So if you can help it, definitely try to avoid being outside. If you do have to be outside, make sure you have plenty of water and try to take more breaks in between your work or your exercises, whatever that you're doing out there. And then, of course, make sure if you're inside that the AC is working properly. Make sure you have a way to stay cool. So between the humidity and the dew points, it's going to be rough. Like over here towards the Corn Belt, it's going to be crazy with the dew points getting almost into the mid 70s, which is crazy. 60-degree dew points are also really oppressive as well. If we had any sort of severe weather setup and you had dew points like this would be very concerning. But as we continue to go on here, you can very clearly see that anywhere east of the Mississippi here, until you get towards, like I said, the New England area and some parts of the mid-Atlantic, it's not just going to be hot. It's going to be very muggy. Still can't rule out the chance of maybe a few pop-up thunderstorms, but I wouldn't expect anything of great significance from this. By the end of this run here, as we head into next week, thankfully, it does look like we start to see a little bit of relief from those dew points as that trough begins to come in. This also is going to maybe even trigger some severe weather over towards north of the border in Canada here. If we can, we'll try and see if we can cover that, maybe even go live at some point. It all depends on the work schedule. But now, last but not least, I guess we'll take a look at what we could see over the course of the week here. For the most part, outside of Hilary, I expect things to be kind of quiet unless you're towards the northern plains or far northern parts of the U.S. here. Wherever the jet stream is usually where most of the action will end up being. And from there, really, with it being mostly north of the border, like I said, you can't really expect a whole lot to be going on everywhere else. It's just going to be very hot. Few showers and storms are also going to be possible over towards the southwest here as we're starting to get that monsoonal flow coming into play. So with that being said, could see additional storms over here towards New Mexico and Arizona, four corners pretty much. And then as time goes on, we could see some unsettled weather towards the northeast, towards that New England area, which is going to help keep those temperatures nice and cool. And then as time goes on, so we start to head into next week, we start to see an increase in activity towards the southeast here. Will this yield severe weather? I'm doubtful. But nonetheless, though, we'll keep an eye on that as well. do see a couple of indicators here off the map here where we see a little bit of tropical activity, but it looks like this storm here is going to mainly stay offshore and away from land, so we'll just be looking at a fish storm at this point. Then as we continue to go on, we're starting to see an increase in activity over here towards the southern US, so we'll be watching that from that point onward. Last thing we'll cover here is the tropics, where we have now 3 tropical storms. All 3 of these formed yesterday. So we have Emily, which is not expected to last a long time. Gert will be one in the same. And then Franklin, of course, we have to watch that, as this has a high probability of striking land here. Franklin in particular, I'm concerned about it striking over towards Haiti, Dominican Republic here the next couple of days here. We don't have a lot of ways to get any sort of coverage from these areas, but let's just hope that these guys are preparing for it. It's not necessarily that I think it would be damaging by the means of wind or anything. It would be more so the concern of flooding. The infrastructure here is not incredible in regards to how, as to how the foundations for homes are set up here. And then also just in general, there's a lot of mountains over here, especially towards Dominican Republic in particular. So we could see a similar situation as to what we saw in California yesterday. So let's hope that these guys are making the proper preparations here. Go ahead and take a look at Emily real quick. Same deal with this one. This one's mainly going to be heading out to sea. No surprises there. Gert, I was honestly surprised that it even became a tropical storm. It had a very short window of opportunity, but it was able to make good on it and at least become a tropical storm. But as you can see, based off of the cone here, this isn't expected to hold up for very long. Temperatures are sufficient around here. It's just the wind shear. The wind shear is a little bit too high for the storm to get going. I'll do a video later this evening discussing more about how these tropical systems develop. We'll do a tropical outlook on here, which we often do once a week during hurricane season. But this is pretty much all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button, decimate that subscribe button, hit that share button. Got to get ready for work here, but appreciate you guys that came in yesterday, and hopefully we can get more people here soon. But this has been Metalhead Weatherman. You guys have an awesome day. Take care, stay cool, and stay metal.